Are there aliens? My opinion is no. From what I clearly saw as a child is that these were demons that would guise themselves. Well, I'll just say, from my experience and, how I learned things, part of my job in the system was to learn how the program worked. So you've got different aspects of the mind control programming that the Luciferian system uses. And, their end game is the end world agenda, which is raising up the Antichrist, getting demons into human hosts so that they can get them through the spiritual gates, and so Satan can usurp the throne of God with his demonic generals and his demonic army. I've brought out from early on that, Satan's agenda is once he gets his demons through those heavenly gates, he plans to destroy all of the human hosts. With the MK Ultra program, you've got it's got many names and many aspects. You've got the aspects that focus more on the spiritual side and people's spiritual gifts, but you've got the other side that focuses highly on the scientific, the logical, and that type of mindset. And so, they had a problem with children that were very physically minded. There's those who they don't believe in a spirit world because they can't see, feel, or hear in it. So to them, they can only believe in what's tangible. So how do you connect individuals who are so tangible focused to something that's spiritual? That was their base problem. So, what they realized was that if they came up with this concept that there was higher intelligence, that higher intelligence had a physical form, and this was how it operated, this was their purpose. They were trying to connect or reach out to those of us on Earth. Mm-hmm. They found that those children that are very scientifically minded were very inclined to want to find out more, to want to connect with the unknown. So, they started that whole program and those connections really to connect children to the demonic spirits in a tangible way. Wow. I will ask people, it's like when you get to hear the stories of individuals who have been at places like Area 51, you will find that all of their training is highly deals in black magic. That yes, they are aware of what they believe are called aliens, that there's this whole other alliance and world government, and that includes beings that are not of this world. And all of that is documented. It's kept in classified vaults. Those conversations, the meetings that they have, the interactions is all hidden. And I think people need to know the truth that it goes back to the Satanic Council, that it goes back to the throne room of God, that there is a table where we all sit and meet, that you have demonic generals, you have the angelic generals, and they are fighting, they're arguing, they're requesting domain, requesting God's will in matters. And you have humans who join them in that argument. Yeah. And if nobody's stepping up to the table, sometimes the Lord does, he allows the evil side to have that permission to do what they want to do. There's going to be more coming out. I've connected that, our former Vice President, Mike Pence, on December 22nd of 2020, gave Space Force servicemen a very special name, and that's guardians. And that term is highly connected to the initiates of the flame, which is, it's made up of many Masonic orders, like Orders of the Phoenix, Orders of the Golden Dawn, and the Order of Melchizedek. And that term guardians or watchers is highly used by them to signify which orders they're connected to. You can go on YouTube, you can order that book, Initiates of the Flame. In there, you will see, it has swastikas in it. Why? Because these individuals are connected to Nazism and communism.
Right.
At the highest levels, the York Rite, Scottish Rite Masons are Nazis, are, guardians of the galaxy, guardians of the flame, initiates of the flame, the Global Alliance, the World Governing Council. We could go on with all the different names that they call themselves. But at the core, do these people worship Lucifer? Do
Yes.
they sit on the Satanic Council? Well, all the way back in the book of Enoch, it describes that the fallen angels were the ones who gave knowledge to men. And yes, it included knowledge of technology, but do they really need those things? I would say that it's far more progressed than the average person, wants to believe. I grew up in a world at the higher levels where we didn't even use technology. If you were supposed to be, if I was in Chicago and there was another ritual that I was to partake in that also was happening at, Neuschwanstein in Germany, did I have to go through a portal, go through the access of opening that portal or that gate? Did I have to travel, however long that was, to get there to Germany to participate in that ritual? No. I literally could be at both places at the same time. And I physically could hand somebody something while I was standing in Germany and have them receive it while they were standing there in the place where they were at. I meant to say Chicago for me and Germany for them.
Yeah.
But, there's an overlap when you're operating in the spiritual world. And do they have that technology? Absolutely. I've brought out things about Aquino with his Mind Wars book.
Right.
And as people study, that trilogy, there's 3 books there. As you study that, you're going to see that our military has been operating for a very long time in the spiritual world, over 40 years. But are they going to let the average person know that? No, because we would be too scared. We would maybe revolt, because, there's some of the military people, when they've gone in for special operations, they described it as in, what happened in the battle. They said the enemy came up through the floors, and so we're in a war where the physical and the spiritual are very mixed.
Yeah.
They don't need the satellite technology. They don't need any of that to see or hear or know what you're doing 24/7. The demons have been following us for ages. Since the day you're born, you've got somebody assigned to you that his job is to know you so they can tempt you into sin and keep you from Christ. See, if we're teaching them in the things of God right away, then they recognize, like they recognize when something's not of God.
Yeah.
His word says, my sheep hear my voice,
so
they know me. They know me. And so you automatically know when something is not of God.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to teach. We need to teach our children to walk so close with God that the moment something is not of God, they know.
Yes.
And that's the truth of even the situation we're in now, is that we need to be walking so close with God that none of it phases us.
Yeah. And
You know,
that's where we've gotten, and that's what we want everyone to feel like.
yeah, it's like we may have spirits that watch us 24/7, but do we need to stop that? Do we need to worry about it? No. Why? Because we're God's. And if we're walking with Him, we know that we're always in His light, even if we're under His wing, which is means we're in His shadow. We never need to fear or be afraid of these beings because we're always with Him.
Yes.
And once you get used to that, and and you feel that, nothing can take that away from you. There is no fear, there's only joy, because
Right.
you're always in His presence, and you know that in everything He'll be with you. He's not going to leave us hanging. He says, in His word, that His grace, abounds, so that in all things at all times, having all that we need, we will abound in every good work. And that's in 2 Corinthians 9:8. So we don't need to worry. We can trust that we will abound in every good work, that we will have everything we need in that moment for that work, and that the enemy cannot stop it, unless we allow him to.